it's important in the test exam, we're not going to ask you calculations, right? We're only going to ask you theory questions. So we all know that VAT stands for value added tax. But what you didn't know is that you get different percentages. So if I look at this, I'm not going to read the basic principles, blah, 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 blah. Who charge it? Obviously the government. Now they talk here about a VAT vendor. So a vendor is someone who sells goods. So a VAT vendor is someone that's registered for VAT. Now, what does that mean? It means that when you buy stuff from someone, it doesn't mean that the price you're paying is necessarily including VAT. Okay? Let me explain that. A VAT vendor is someone who registered at SARS, SARS being the taxman, South African Revenue Services. It's someone who registered at SARS to become a VAT vendor. Now, if you look here, they say it's compulsory to register for VAT once your turnover is $1 million. So turnover, what they are actually saying is that by law, if your sales amount to $1 million in 12 months, you have to register for VAT by law. If you don't, then they say you are evading tax. That's tax evasion. Okay. If you keep your turnover less than $1 million, then they say you are avoiding tax because it's legal. You don't have to, by law, register unless your sales is $1 million a year in 12 months. Now the catch comes in. This year your sales was $1 million, so you registered. Next year your sales is 800,000. You can't deregister, you registered. So once you become a VAT vendor, you stay a VAT vendor. Okay, but why would people want to register for a VAT vendor? Because you can claim back tax. Now, when we look at VAT, I want to explain this, and somehow people are always not really understanding it, but it makes so much sense. If I think about VAT, now let's say, here I am the farmer. So I know the numbers I'm going to use is not going to make any sense now, right? Because I'm going to work in increments of 100, because it just makes it easier to make the VAT percentage. Okay? So I'm going to say the bread is 100 rand, which it isn't. It's just to explain to you the concept. So the farmer plants mealies. Ne? He plants the mealies. Right? He sells the mealies to the miller. Who's the miller? The guy who's going to make flour. The flour guy. He sells it to the miller at 100 rand. Ne? He's a VAT vendor, meaning in the end, he's going to pay, this miller is going to pay him 115 rand. 100 rand goes into the farmer's pocket. 15 rand, that 15 rand goes to SARS. So now SARS is pocketing 15 rand. Right, this is still easy. Now, the miller goes and he makes flour. He sells the flour to the baker. Ooh, the baker must actually look like that, but who cares? So the baker has got a different hat. This is the baker. Okay? So, he sells the flour extra. So he sells it for 200 rand, meaning the VAT is 30 rand. So this guy pays 230. Okay, so now, what's going to happen? SARS wants in total 30 Rand. But can you see he already got 15? He got 15 when this guy paid this guy. So this guy actually already paid 15. Okay, you guys get it? So now, what's happening? We call the tax we pay, ne? Output VAT. And the tax we receive, no, I'm lying. The tax we need to pay, we call it input VAT because it's in the price that we pay. The tax that we receive when we sell goods, we call it output VAT because we have to take it out of the price and pay it over to SARS. Does that make sense? So now, for this guy, his input VAT was 15 Rand. His output VAT is 30. He can claim back that 15 that he paid because he's a VAT vendor. So he just needs to pay over to SARS the difference. And that's why we call it value added tax. So he only pays now on the value added to the product. So the product was worth 100, now it's worth 200. So he only needs to pay VAT on the difference between those two figures. Does that make sense to you? You're not going to write a test about this. I just need you to understand how VAT works. Let me do the baker. Let's see if you understand, because this process is going to repeat himself. Okay. So now the baker bakes bread. Ne? The baker is now going to sell it to the trader. Ne? Hyperama. He sells it for 300 Rand. Can you see there's another 100 Rand added in value? Because every time you make the product, you refine the product, you add value to the product. So now my tax is going to be 45. So this guy is going to pay 345. Okay. So how much does SARS want to have now? 45 Rand. Can you see SARS already got 30? So how much is this guy going to pay over to SARS? Only 15. Does that make sense to you? Because now his input VAT is he paid 30 Rand. His output VAT is he sold this to this guy. He paid 45 Rand VAT. So how much does he still need to pay extra to SARS? Again, 15 Rand. You guys get what I'm doing? So in the end, SARS just want to have the total VAT. And that VAT, ne, is distributed between everybody who had a part in it. Does that make sense? Because in other words, this person pays the full VAT, but he can claim back when he has to pay. Does that make sense? Let's go now to the shop. Now you come, beautiful consumer. You buy the bread. Ne? He sells the bread to you at 400 Rand. So the tax on that is 60 Rand. So you pay 460 Rand. Ne? So in other words, SARS wants in the end 60. He already got 45. Can you see? He already got 45. So how much does this trader have to pay? Not the full 60, only 15. Because he already paid 45. You see? Now, you as the consumer, you paid 60 Rand VAT. Can you claim it back? No, because you're not a VAT vendor. So who carries the weight of the tax in the end? The consumer. Okay. And that is why I'm saying to you, people will go and register as a VAT vendor even though they don't make 1 million sales, because it means they can claim back the VAT on the things they bought from other VAT vendors, right? That they don't become like a consumer who pays all the VAT and can't claim anything back. That's why they become VAT vendors, because it means they are saving on VAT. Because the fact that I'm not a VAT vendor doesn't mean that when I buy from you, that you are not a VAT vendor. So because if you are a VAT vendor, it means I'm going to pay VAT to you. Okay, I can go into it very deeply, but what I want you to understand is, for instance, let's say I bought a lot of stock. Ne? I got stock bulk, and I paid on that stock, I paid VAT, right? Now, what happens? It's COVID. I'm not allowed to sell my products. They are not things that go bad. They're just standing there in the shop. Now I can claim back the VAT on that stock. Can you see it would be a form of income for me? You don't claim back on only the products that you sell. You see? You claim back on everything you bought. So that could be a source of income for you in that difficult time. Yes?
That income from the VAT that we get, is it a taxable income or is it
No.
Is that taxable income?
Yeah, because it's already taxed. It's already, because what it is basically is SARS will go, look, the tax you owe them, the VAT you owe them, the VAT they owe you, that you're claiming back, and then there's a difference. And the difference can either be that they still have to pay out to me, or I have to still pay into them. We only do the difference. We do like a recon. Does that make sense? Okay. And actually we're supposed to go into depth now with what VAT, where, how to calculate. We'll do that next year. Don't worry about that. It's a quick topic. I just need you to understand the terminology. Okay, so is everybody happy with that? So the first thing you need to know that is really important is the registration. When do you need to register? Oh, if you earn 1 million. And can I tell you, when I started teaching 32 years ago, it was also 1 million. Why didn't they up the registration? Why didn't they say now, why are they not saying, oh, you only have to register when your sales is 2 million? Because do you agree with me, people get to 1 million now way faster than 30 years back. Why do you think they haven't upped the threshold? So that people have to register quicker. It's more income for the government. Okay, now, how is VAT calculated? So, let's quickly look. There's different things. You're going to look at your normal rate, né, which is the 15%. Then we're going to look at the exempt things. I don't know how to spell it. How do you spell exempt? Which is 0. And also the 0 rated, which is 0. So there's 3 tax ratios. So let's quickly look. So your normal is what we do every day, and you don't even know that you pay it because it's inclusive into the prices. But if you look at the cash register roll or slippy, you will see at the bottom they separate. They say this is what goes to the shop, this is what goes to SARS. Okay. Now, what's the difference between exempt and 0 rate? So, exempt is by law. VAT can't be charged on that. So there's a whole list of that. Ne? You can look here. There's the list of the exempt. So the list is interest earned for provision of credit, life insurance, whatever of that. You don't pay VAT on life insurance. You don't pay VAT on medical schemes, right? if you donate goods to a non-profit, then you don't pay VAT on that. Certain child care services don't pay VAT. Educational services don't pay VAT. You don't pay VAT on school fees. They also talk here about transport. So your taxi, bus or train will not charge VAT. Your airplane does, interestingly enough. But those three don't charge. So your taxi driver, even though he most probably make $1 million a year, doesn't charge you VAT. He can't register as a VAT vendor. Okay. Then rent income, no VAT. So those are things by law. Zero rated is things that they do it to help poor people. So it can change. And this is what's been there now for years and years and years. But when the budget is announced, the Minister of Finance can change items. Okay, so what is interesting, you know, if you look here, so this is to help poor people. But this is really your basic stuff. So when they say there brown bread, they don't mean this low GI health bread that's already cut, that costs 40 Rand. That's not what they mean. They mean the most basic, cheapest bread that's not cut, that you still have to cut with a knife yourself. Those ones that the cafe bake themselves. Those ones. Okay? And what is the VAT on that? 2 cents anyway. Okay. You'll see there, maize meal, rice. Rice, not white rice, brown rice. Not all this basmati rice. Not that. Your most basic, cheapest rice. If they say there, fresh fruit and veg, it's the fresh one that you buy at the grocer. Not the ones that's cut up and frozen and you buy the frozen peas. They are vetted. Not if you go to Woolies where they already cut up the broccoli and put it in a nice packaging. They are vetted. They are talking about when you go to Woolies and you buy the fresh broccoli like that, and it's not being cut up or done something nice with. Right. Okay. What's interesting is a few years back, a thing that's added there now, zero rated, is sanitary products for girls for the monthly period. So for your pads and stuff, you don't pay that anymore to help us. And I'm like, wow, okay. How is this helping us that I pay 120 less? But in any case, let's be thankful. Okay, so you need to understand the 3 different ones. Your normal rate, your zero rate. Remember, zero rate is they charge 0%. So it is charged, but 0%. And your exempted is not charged at all. Not even 0%. Okay. Then they talk here about what does VAT do, what's the difference between input and output VAT. And that, my babies, is the only theory you need to learn. And I'm going to ask you very nicely not to throw these notes away, because this is the notes that we're going to do next year in grade 12. We're not going to print it for you again. You must have it now. So keep this safe, because this is going to be a waste of copies. If I say to you, oh, throw it away, we'll give you new ones next. I'm not going to give you new ones. Okay, and I'm on record now.